Morning, everybody. Queenslanders today are confronting what is a tragedy unfolding out of the Western Downs community, and today we have to pause and acknowledge what is, quite frankly, unspeakable. The loss of lives, including 2 young police officers and a neighbouring property owner. 2 young police officers in their 20s who went to work to protect their community. And it is a tragedy. And it's one that will truly test a tight-knit community. We've spoken with our MPs on the ground and they have told us about how it's made the community feel. They have been tested, and in the days ahead they are going to need our support, but they are strong communities and they will get through this. That is the way of these small communities. It's a place where people matter. I've spoken with the Police Commissioner as well as the President of the Queensland Police Union, and I want to thank them for their leadership in what is a really difficult time for the Queensland Police Service. We have so much admiration for people who pull on a blue uniform. They do it to protect their community, and every day they go to work and they put themselves at risk to make sure that we stay safe. And today, of all days, we acknowledge that service. We acknowledge the pain that the Queensland Police Service family is experiencing. We acknowledge the way that the community on the ground will be tested, but they're strong, and they need to know that all of Queensland looks at them and lends every bit of support we possibly can. I'm going to ask the Deputy Leader to make some comments.
Thank you, Dave, and good morning. I want to pass on my condolences on behalf of the opposition to the families involved in the 2 officers that were killed in the line of duty yesterday afternoon, and to the man who also died, the neighbour of that property. We have police officers in our communities right around Queensland, and police officers right around Queensland will be hurting today. They'll be saddened, they'll be hurting because they know it could have been any one of them. Every day, men and women in Queensland put on a blue uniform and go and protect and serve Queenslanders. They never expect it, but they know it can happen. And the tragedy that has unfolded is just unspeakable. And so we offer our condolences on behalf of the opposition to the families of the officers that were killed and the neighbouring property, the man that lost his life tragically yesterday as well. As David said, we've spoken to our members of parliament on the ground there, and as David said, though, they are there talking and being with their community, a community that will need their arms wrapped around them to get them through this tragedy that's unfolded, particularly in country towns and country Queenslanders where the neighbours all know each other, they know their communities, and it's quite devastating. I attend every year, I've been attending for many years the Police Remembrance Day ceremonies and services, and they read the honour roll of police officers that have been killed in the line of duty, and you pray at that time that the list doesn't get any longer. And unfortunately, it has overnight, and 2 officers have been added, unfortunately, to that list there. So this is devastating. We've also got in our team 3 members who have been serving police officers. David and I have reached out to all 3 of those members because, as we have said, it's not just serving police officers this will impact. It'll be police officers that have served, and we're hearing stories that police officers that served many years ago. This is triggering many emotions in those people. So I would encourage our communities right around Queensland to give a shout out to a local police officer when you see them, shout them a coffee, be with them. Give them the support they need, but also to police officers that you know who have served, whether it's a neighbour of yours or a family friend or a work colleague that you know has served in the police service. Please reach out to them because they will be feeling all sorts of emotions that no one can begin to understand or comprehend. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Any questions on this, and then we'll obviously address the other matter. Well, I might just start by making some comments about the report that has been tabled today, and then I'll ask the Deputy to also do so. Let me just be really clear about this. The opposition has fought very hard to have this report and to have this Royal Commission constituted, and we did so despite all of the pushback that we received from the government. Make no mistake, we were on the side of victims and whistleblowers before the report, and we will be on their side on the other side of that report. That is the duty we have to them. We believed them. We listened to them. And to suggest that somehow they shouldn't have been listened to is wrong. Kirsty Wright was not a disgruntled employee. She was a world-class, renowned scientist, decorated in her work. And on behalf of every Queenslander, we thank her for her bravery, and we apologise for the fact that she wasn't listened to. This report is something that could have been done much earlier. And if it was done earlier, there are victims who may not have experienced the failure to get the justice they deserve, and that is deeply troubling. But rest assured, on the other side of this, we will be on their side, and will continue to fight to make sure that they get the justice they deserve. And it's there that I'll ask Jared to say something.
Well, thanks again, David. Well, this morning we saw the government, the Palaszczuk government, announce and table the Commission of Inquiry into the DNA laboratory. A Commission of Inquiry that's over 500 pages long, a Commission of Inquiry that Anastasia Palaszczuk and Health Minister Yvette D'Arth said wasn't needed, wasn't required. In fact, the Health Minister's terminology at the time was, when external people and the opposition were calling for this DNA Royal Commission, the Health Minister said it was just politicking. She said the opposition was just politicking. And then I saw her there today standing in the back corner when the 500-page Commission of Inquiry was handed down, and quite damning findings with respect to the DNA laboratory. So everything that, as David said, Dr Kirsty Wright had been speaking about, Hedley Thomas had been putting in his podcast, all the evidence was there that the government should have acted a lot sooner than it did. Unfortunately, though, politics got in the way for this government, and they said that we were politicking. We weren't. We were listening to the media. We were listening to the commentariat. We were listening to Dr Kirsty Wright. We were listening to the forensic experts. The only people that weren't listening was the Premier and the Health Minister, who continually objected to the Royal Commission, continually said it wasn't needed and it wasn't required, until they finally, push came to shove and they had to announce the Royal Commission, which we've had today, as I said, over 500 pages handed down to the Royal Commission. The other point I'll make on the Royal Commission is we've only just received a copy, as everyone else has got a copy of it, so you'd forgive us for not having read the 500 pages. But I did want to reflect on a commentary from Commissioner Sofronoff this morning, where he said, although he didn't make a specific recommendation, he did make a general recommendation and an observation that there could be thousands of cases that will need to be retested. Well, we've been saying that for a long time. Experts have been saying that for a long time. We have been saying that there is potential criminals walking the streets that haven't had the proper process because of the DNA laboratory and the shenanigans going on at the DNA laboratory. So we have been saying that for a long time. What we did, though, a few weeks ago was call for a reconstituted Royal Commission to look at the specific cases. Now, although Commissioner Sofronoff hasn't recommended a type of Commission of Inquiry or a type of body, what he did say, though, is he made a general observation, a recommendation, that you should get a group of people together in a review committee process. He even mentioned a lawyer, government lawyer, a private lawyer, a scientist, a forensic expert. That to me sounds like a reconstituted Royal Commission. A reconstituted Royal Commission with all the powers to forensically look at each of the cases. So a lot of people may think a Royal Commission is just a legalistic term for getting to the bottom of an issue. Yes, it is. But a Royal Commission, as we have seen with other commissions of inquiry, doesn't have to have a former judge sitting on the bench. You can actually have forensic experts, and their whole task, their sole task, is to go through the individual cases. So that's why we called for a Royal Commission. And Yvette D'Arth, again, in Parliament said, we're already doing internal reviews. But the victims are telling us it wasn't enough. The victims were saying they have not been heard. So I would again call on the government to reconstitute a Royal Commission type inquiry review to look at these individual cases, put the experts on the panel, put the experts as a commissioner, a forensic expert, a scientist, as the commissioner, to give victims the chance to have their say and to give victims the closure that they so desperately need and deserve.
Thanks, Jared. No, over to you, Kate.
The report makes the point, though, that in late 2021, before the Commission inquiry was announced, that Kathy Allen had fed the Health Department and in turn the Premier and the Health Minister misleading information, and that they couldn't have known that it was misleading information. And for a long time, she'd been lying to her immediate supervisor and to senior police about the work of the lab. How do you reconcile that then in terms of the Minister was seeking advice from the department, which had been fed misleading information by the leader of the lab?
But there was enough advice around for us to ask questions, and there was enough advice around for us to think that something wasn't wrong, and there were any number of people who were telling you there were failings there. So the Minister can say that she was given bad advice, but good ministers ask good questions and go looking for information. That's the role of a minister. You have to administer a department, and at times that means you have to filter through things and find a way to get the right answer. But there was enough out there that something didn't feel right, and that's why we took up the case. And when we did, not only was the minister, quite frankly, not willing to look further, but they attacked us for it. They somehow said we were trying to play politics. And to see them now attempt to rewrite history and say that this was something the government believed in, well, that's pretty disappointing. The facts were there, the information was public, and the government chose not to listen. And I'm sorry, but I won't cop the discrediting of someone like Dr. Wright in the way that we've seen. I didn't even hear her name mentioned today in the press conference, which I was a little uncomfortable with. She is not a disgruntled employee. She is a world-class scientist, and she should have been listened to. And the Minister can say that the information coming up was filtered, but there was still information in the public domain from someone who even a quick Google search would have told you about her credibility. And she wasn't believed, she wasn't listened to. And as a result, innocent people will have been denied justice, and we're not comfortable with that. Thanks. See you later, guys. Have a good day. Thank you.